pleased to be joined now by the guy who will be on the call as the Bills open the season at the Rams 1 week from tonight. You know him, you love him. He's the NBC Sports Sunday Night Football play-by-play voice, but he will be working on a Thursday night next week to call Bills Rams. It is Mike Tirico joining us. Mike, great to have you. How you been?
I'm doing great. We're 1 week, 6 hours, and 15 minutes from starting this, which is I'm not counting down. I'm not looking forward to it at all.
Yeah, right.
We are. I think we're all ready to go. I think we've all talked ourselves out, and we're so excited for the preseason. And then the reality with the preseason is becoming the NFL. You can't learn a darn thing for the most part. And the Rams didn't play a soul in the preseason, so I think we're anxious for a real ball to start in the first of 272 games. And what a stage for the Bills to be on the kickoff game on opening night in LA against the champs. It speaks to the power of the NFL that you'll take one of the smaller market teams by size and put them in this gigantic window to open the season. And it speaks everything to what the Bills have built over the last couple of seasons.
Mike, there are so many storylines in this game. The defending Super Bowl champions taking on a team that hopes to get there. Josh Allen playing in his first game in California, heading home. Can't believe it took him to his 5th season to do that. But is there a storyline that you're eyeing most out of all of these as we head to Thursday night's game?
How long do we have, Maddie? We could talk forever about all these storylines, and then there's the one that jumps out. It's Von Miller coming back, right, to the Rams. It's championship night. Von Miller certainly a significant part of getting that banner for the Rams. You go back and watch the second half of the game in the Super Bowl against Cincinnati, and Von Miller and his pass rush ability showed up. I went to look just because I wanted to see what does Von Miller still have left, and you watch the impactful snaps in his playoff run, and he still has it. And you think about over the years, the Bills haven't had that guy to force that kind of attention in this 4 or 5 year run of good football since Sean McDermott's become the head coach and Brandon being the GM. So it gives Leslie Frazier and Sean great options to. Von gets his attention. Man, that frees up other people to do some things. So I'm really excited to see Von go back and to see Von, all he does is crank out double-digit sack seasons. The Bills really haven't had much of that in this Sean McDermott era. So it could be a perfect fit. I think that storyline's going to be pretty cool going into the night as well.
Mike, you mentioned the stage that the Bills will be on, and it is a formidable one, even as strong and as deep as Buffalo's roster is. And I did a little homework, and since 2010, the defending Super Bowl champ has won 8 of the last 11 kickoff games.
Right.
It is hard to beat the defending Super Bowl champ in their building in week 1 with all of that emotion that's packed into that night. The season's going, and most of those defending Super Bowl champs are still pretty darn good football teams, even though we see the turnover that we see. So what do you believe the Bills are walking into here, just from an emotional and an atmosphere perspective?
Well, it's a lot. You're walking up against a very good team and a terrific coach in Sean McVay and Matthew Stafford. I live in Michigan. I watched Matthew Stafford almost every game he played for the Lions. And somebody during our rest time this summer said to me, the Lions, they can never draft a Super Bowl quarterback. I said, they did. Did you see who won the Super Bowl last year? It was Stafford. They just didn't surround him with it. And that's what LA did. They surrounded with so much talent. And they're terrific up front. Aaron Donald is still exceptional. He's part of a couple of guys up there that really cause havoc. You add a Bobby Wagner at linebacker from Seattle, a decade of great play in the NFL. Jalen Ramsey, depending on snap to snap, you'd want him covering in any big spot compared to any other DB you have. And obviously, Cooper Kupp won the Triple Crown for receivers last year with receptions, yards, and touchdowns. And you're just scratching the surface. So you've got a complete team. I think the emotion is going to be significant, but not as significant as it would be if it was opening night and the Bills were putting up a banner, or the Eagles after they won their title. It's still LA. It's a 5:20 p.m. local time start. I think fans are going to be there and they'll be loud. But if you think back, when the Rams played the 49ers in the NFC Championship game, there were a lot of Niner fans in the house. There were a ton of Bengal fans there. It wasn't really a home field Super Bowl feel for the Rams as they played the Bengals. So I don't think it's going to be as much of a incredible hornet's nest atmosphere that you might get with some other teams, but you still got those guys on the field. That's what matters the most. The Rams are still really darn good.
Yeah, I think we imagine a lot of Bills Mafia to be there and be loud. I know Josh Allen said there could be over 100 family members and friends in the stands supporting him, so that'll be really fun to see. But you mentioned a lot of those big defensive players for the Rams. What do you want to see out of this Bills offense this season? What excites you most about 2022 and the Bills?
Maddie, the one drive in Orchard Park in the preseason just kind of gave you a little reminder of what it is and what it can be one more time. When last we saw that Bills offense, they walked off the field feeling like they had done enough to beat Mahomes in Kansas City and get to the AFC Championship game. And so many of those pieces are back. Obviously some changes up front on the offensive line, but good changes. Depth. When you could take a Cody Ford and trade him early in camp, where you still might get another injury in a preseason game or two, and get a fifth-round pick back, that tells you how good this roster is. When you see the players picked up by other teams, that tells you how good this roster is. And it's a really good roster on the offensive side. I'm so excited to see James Cook in the backfield and what he's going to be able to do with the combination of Singletary and Moss. Obviously, Dawson Knox is going to be playing with so much unimaginable emotion here going into this season. I didn't mention Stephon, but we know what he can do. I want to see how the slot position evolves as this season goes on as well. I think there are a couple of additions here on the offensive side of the ball through the draft that will get people talking. I like what Shakir brings. I like what I've seen from him. I like what I saw when we were up in Orchard Park a couple of days ago. So there's a lot of talent on this roster. And on the offensive side, I think if 17 can run a little bit less and put a little less risk into this and can stay back in the pocket and dance around, do what he does differently, but escaping when he needs to, I think you could be looking at an MVP caliber season. Certainly all the pieces are around Josh to do that. And he's grown every year, and I expect nothing different this year.
Yeah, and when you were here a couple of days ago, Mike, I know you'll get an opportunity to talk to coaches and players on Wednesday when they get into town in L.A. Did you get to even have a passing conversation with the new offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey? Because he is the biggest, I won't even label it a concern. He's the biggest unknown, I think, within the scope of what this offense is going to look like this year. We know a lot of it's going to stay the same, but what does his stamp on it look like, I think, is the biggest question for Bills fans.
Great question. I would feel concerned if it wasn't somebody like Kenny, who not only has been in the room with Josh, but they've got such a great connection. Kenny not only has played the position, he's played the position with championship expectations. Kenny and I laughed. We did get to visit for a few minutes, and I immediately said, you played quarterback and were the winning quarterback in one of my favorite games that I got to do. It was at the very end of the run of the Orange Bowl when the University of Miami, the Canes, still played in the Orange Bowl. And Kenny led a Miami team, an unbelievably talented team in 2002, against an upstart Pittsburgh team that was an 8-win team, I think, eventually, and came this close to upsetting number 2 Miami in the Orange Bowl. It was a Thursday night football game on ESPN in 2002, and Kenny was the quarterback. And then Miami went to Syracuse, and they may still be scoring on my alma mater that next week. And I bring all that up because Kenny Dorsey knows what Josh Allen's living with. He knows what he's going through. He knows the expectations. But he also knows how to manage a team with a ton of weapons around. And how do I get the ball to these guys and keep everybody happy? So the fact that he's gone through these couple of games of calling plays, the fact that he's been in the room with Josh and picks up all the small stuff all these years, this is no disrespect to Brian at all, because I think Brian Daboll is a really good coach. I think he's going to do a good job with the Giants and improve them. Kenny Dorsey moving in as the offensive coordinator is not a worry I have for Buffalo. I think he's going to do an excellent job. And if that's what's worrying Bills fans, I think that worry will be assuaged pretty quickly here in the season.
Some new news for the Bills. A couple of days ago, we found out that Tre'Davious White was going to be put on the PUP list and can't play for the first 4 weeks of the season. So that leaves the Bills with Dane Jackson and then Kyer Elam and Christian Benford to go up against Cooper Kupp and Allen Robinson. What do you think about the test that these three young corners are going to have against some of the best wide receivers in the NFL?
It's a test, no doubt. It's a key matchup in the game. Here's the best news: Hyde and Poyer are behind those young corners. That's as I want to say confident from a fan standpoint as any fan base should be in their safeties. Those guys, their 6 years together have been terrific. You know, they know each other. They've played so many snaps together. I mean, they're in the 95, 96% of snaps played over the 6 year stretch every season. And so many of them are together. So, of course, you're going to be a little uptight when you have some inexperience there, right? But one, you've got those safeties. I love the scheme. If Von Miller can get to the quarterback and get to Matthew Stafford and get the ball out a little bit quicker, that helps. But the other part for me, which is interesting, is you've got Elam and Benford, and let's not forget that these are two draft picks who look ready to play. And maybe with a 1, you expect that. But in a 6th-round pick, I think Benford's a 6. In a 6th-round pick, you don't necessarily expect that. What he has shown in the preseason, I did get a chance to visit with Brandon Beane for a bit when we were there watching practice. And to know that Benford has that toughness and that test that he's proven through his life off the field and on the field, it's not going to be, you would think, too big for him going in. And I love players like that. Those are the guys who I really get a kick out of covering and meeting and talking to. So, who knows who's going to play more snaps? That could be one of those that as the night goes on, it changes. As this week in practice goes on, and Leslie Frazier sees those guys, we'll get a good sense. Look, nobody's Tre'Davious White. You're not going to walk out there and be an all-pro corner. But I would feel a little comfort in, I've got a couple of options, not just one guy who I'm putting all my eggs in his basket. And I've got those two safeties who can help you out a lot.
Talking with NBC Sports Sunday Night Football play-by-play man Mike Tirico, and that is a point we wanted to bring up with you, Mike. You not only have the game on Thursday, you then have the Sunday night game, which is the Bucs and the Cowboys. And we were talking a little bit with you before we came on the air here about your process, and it's an interesting process because you kind of go second game first. Maybe just walk us through how you master all the names and the numbers and all of that jazz.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long time since I've been in college, so I don't remember everything I did in school. But I do remember when you had those couple of final exams, if you had two that maybe in the same day or back-to-back, I like to study for that second one first, be ready for it, and then push it aside for a little bit, and then I'll come back to it right beforehand. And then prepare for the first one you're going to take last. So you're building right into it. And that's what I've kind of done here. I did a little bit of work on the Rams and the Bills, put that away, and now focused the last 24 hours or so, and then the next couple of days on the Buccaneers and the Cowboys. And then come Monday morning, I'll put the Bucs and the Cowboys. I'll come check on them every day almost. But it'll be all about the Bills and Rams on Thursday night. And then Thursday, the game ends. Collinsworth and Melissa Stark and I say so long from L.A., and local news and Jimmy Fallon's next. And then we leave, we get on a plane and go to Arlington, to Dallas, and get to Arlington eventually for the Cowboys-Buccaneers game, which was our opener last year on Sunday Night Football. It was a memorable 2-point game. So then we get Tom Brady for season 23 of his remarkable NFL career against the Cowboys, who are always sitting on expectations. So that'll be a blockbuster game to start Sunday Night Football. So, Friday morning you land, you've got about 2 hours of sleep on the plane, and then 3 hours later, you're at the Star and you're at Cowboys practice. You're looking at Micah Parsons and Dak and Zeke and Pollard and CeeDee Lamb and all those guys. The one thing, we'll go from one Diggs to the other. So we'll at least have that as we go through, as we go from Stephon to Trayvon. But it's the greatest time of the football season. Every team's fan base thinks, hey, we can win 8, 9, 10 games. Maybe we can get on a run like the Bengals. Even the bad teams are thinking, can we be this year's Bengals and get to the Super Bowl? And I always like when I do some of these interviews to remind folks, yeah, you should have a great outlook. But there will be 272 losses in the NFL this year, barring a tie. So somebody's got to lose all these games somewhere. And it's fun to start getting teams on the field and see who's got it and who's missing a little bit as we get into the first part of the season.
Mike, last one for me. You're going to be in your 17th season calling NFL games. Life gets busy for all of us beginning on Thursday as we go into a 17-game season, regular season. What's your favorite part about all of this and the madness in all of it?
Yeah, and we're 18. We get no bye, and then we have 2 playoff games the next 2 weekends. So it is the last weekend without a game on that Sunday night window for 20 straight weeks. So we're diving in real deep. And of course, what am I doing for my last weekend? I'm going up to Syracuse to watch my alma mater play in person against Louisville. Can't stay away from football games sometimes. You know what I look forward to the most, Maddie? It's the people. We're up there week 8 when the Packers come in on the night before Halloween, and Paul Peck, who's been in the Buffalo media circles forever, that's my college roommate. He's one of my dearest friends. And I look forward to week 8, having dinner with Paul and his wife, Kim, and their family. And then, week 2, we're in Green Bay, and I've got friends who live over there, and you get to see them. And it's just such a great opportunity. You get to see America, see all the friends you've made along the way, and get to sit down with Josh Allen and Matthew Stafford and Tom Brady and Dak Prescott. And then the next week, it's talking to Aaron Rodgers for a half hour and Matt LaFleur and talking football, talking what's happened, the arcs of all these careers. You see a guy like Josh in his 5th year. You get guys like Brady in his 23rd. We'll get Russell Wilson 2 weeks into his Denver experience in week 3 and get to see Trey Lance and see how he's handling that stage when they play Denver. So for me, it is the curiosity of how individuals grow during their time in the spotlight in the NFL and how these cities come to life when our circus comes to town. Everybody wants to be in those Sunday night, Monday night games because it gets to show your town, your fan base off to the rest of the NFL. And for me, it's so much fun to just sit there right before the game starts, right before Carrie Underwood and her Sunday night anthem plays, just to see the stadium rocking, the fireworks going off, and know how much joy those games bring to communities around America every Sunday and Sunday afternoon and Sunday night, and also Thursday night and Monday night as well.
Mike, we thank you for the time. We know you're in the middle of a cram session, so we'll let you get back to it. And we look forward to hearing the call on Thursday, a week from tonight.
We look forward to it. The best reason that I am happy that I got to Orchard Park this week was in the communications area where Maddie sits. There is a 3 putters, a couple of golf balls, and one of those electronic things that accepts a putt. And Maddie, who's 1 for 1 for the year?
You are, Mike. You are. Let's go.
Nailed the 16-footer, which is about a step short of Maddie's desk.
Impressive.
The gang did help me. It's got a little bit of a right-to-left break. I forgot that. They did help me with that. But I made that putt, and I'm looking forward to going 2 for 2 on October 28th, the Friday before the Packers game.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We'll have a putter ready for you, Mike. Thanks very much. Good luck on Thursday.
Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, guys.